This is Randy Harris. We created this show almost 6 years ago. We talk Memphis wrestling. We also talk life. But the thing that's so important to me is over the last almost 6 years, we've created a bond. We've created a team. We've created a family. One of the members of our family is hurting tonight. One of the panel members of Talking Memphis Wrestling, Chris Ellis. I just came about an hour ago from a visitation at Emerson Funeral Home in Jonesboro, Arkansas, where Chris' mother passed away this past Saturday night. Clyan Leonard passed away at 79 years old. Chris, when I talked to him tonight, said several people from Talking Memphis Wrestling had reached out to him, and he appreciates that very much. We appreciate Randy West and PJ and James and Calvin and all the people that watch Talking Memphis Wrestling because, folks, this is more than a wrestling show to me. This is more than a wrestling show to our panel. This is more than a wrestling show to Team Hills. Now we continue to Talking Memphis Wrestling.
You'll see America's favorite sport on WHBQ television.
Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hill and special guests.
I want to continue talking about how this is a team. Team Hills is a team, and when one member of our team is hurting, certainly we all are hurting. And Brad B.C. Collins, who supported us by driving from North Carolina to Jackson, Tennessee for a night to Remember, Brad B.C. Collins lost his mom a week or so ago. Our prayers are out to BC right now. I want to say hello also to Frank Seaton. Hey, one more story. It's great when you're able to meet one of the panel members that I hadn't met before, one of my new friends, because it turns into just more than wrestling. I want to show a picture right now of one of the things I did the other night. It was Saturday night. I drove to Memphis, Tennessee. Club number, image number 4590, please. I've had as a guest on this show several different times, Dr. William Rusty Robinson from Memphis, Tennessee, went to New Orleans, now is in Orange Beach. He ended up in Memphis for a family situation to go to church on Sunday morning. He called me. I met him and his lovely, beautiful wife, and we had a great, great meal, Italian meal in Memphis, and that was a lot of fun as well. Michael is in Kentucky. Chris, I explained. Pat Trammell's in a plane, but he should be here 15 to 20 minutes in the show, but saving the day, making the hot tag. He's back in Orange Beach. As far as I'm concerned, ladies and gentlemen, make welcome the good doctor, the blues doctor, Rusty.
Thank you, Randy. I don't know if I can live up to that, but I'll do my best. Got some big shoes to fill, but thank you. And I enjoyed Saturday night very much too. Food was good. It was good to meet you and good to talk to you, tell stories, all those things. I had a great time.
One of the things I don't want to bring us down, and we weren't brought down at all. We were. I couldn't drink because I had to drive back. I'm an Uber driver and I can't risk it. But man, I ate. I got the lasagna. I got the lasagna. It was good, but it's spicy. And at the end, I thought you were going to have to do doctoring on me, didn't you?
Yes.
I thought at least if I'm gonna choke right here in front of everything, at least I'm at the same time. I know that's not your specialty, but I'm sure you know how to freaking stop somebody from choking to death. I would assume.
I certainly would have given it a try,
No doubt. Hey,
but
we
I was
got
glad you got over it without me. So,
Oh yeah, I'm glad too. Hey, I told you before we went on the air, another sad situation. This is somebody, as you know, growing up watching WHBQ Channel 13, somebody has started his broadcasting career, and I think we have a caption and a picture. We lost longtime game show host and certainly a worldwide television star. He's a Memphis dude, Wink Martindale. His program director there, Rusty, at Channel 13 in Memphis, was Lance Russell. Your thoughts on Wink Martindale?
oh, how about that? Yeah, I had not heard that Wink had died until you told me just now. Boy, he was a fixture of TV in Memphis, and then went on to do game shows mostly on national TV. But he remained ever faithful, I believe, to Memphis. One inside story I have about Wink Martindale. So my mother had a date once with Wink Martindale, like in the 1950s. I don't know that there was any repeat or anything, but I remember her telling me that.
Adam is singing something and said Wink Martindale was born Winston Conrad Martindale on December 4th, 1933 in Jackson, Tennessee, and started his career as a disc jockey at age 17 at WPLI in Jackson, earning $25 a week. After moving to WTJS, he was hired away for double the salary by Jackson's only other station, WXIA. He next hosted mornings at WHBQ TV in Memphis, Tennessee, while a college student at Memphis State University, where Dave Brown went with college, before graduating with a Bachelor of Science degree in 1957. While at U of M, Martindale became a member of Kappa Sigma fraternity. So interesting things. So a Jackson guy, Memphis guy did good, Rusty.
Oh, absolutely. As you said, he did start out in radio, but he was such a good looking, handsome guy, big presence, that he was perfect for, transitioning to TV also. So he became a personality both locally and nationally for many years.
Absolutely. There's nothing, no doubt about it. Now, I saw on your Facebook, you posted something because you were doing something. I thought I was a media guy, but you've absolutely done something that I've never done in my life. Known people. I know The Rock, for Christ's sakes. I believe
Yeah, there you
he
go.
maybe been on the big screen. I want Adam to put up, if you would please, sir, Spinal Tap 2 graphic. And as we see that, tell me everything you know, how you got involved in it, what you're going to do in it, in that situation, and when it's supposed to come out on the national release in the movie. Spinal Tap 2, and here's somebody that has a little bit to do about it. Here's
Well, in fact, I do. I'm actually an extra in the movie Spinal Tap 2. The story was this: Spinal Tap 2 was filmed mostly in New Orleans, where I, lived for many years. And I had done or been an extra in a number of movie and TV shows because there are a number of them filmed in New Orleans. So I was a huge fan of the original Spinal Tap film. So I thought, oh, this will be great to do this. So I did. And they filmed the probably the biggest part they filmed was the concert scenes, which they filmed in what's called the UNO Lakefront Arena. It's this big 10,000 seat arena in New Orleans. So we had like 1,500 extras. So we filmed that, and everybody had to, applaud and scream, which was a lot of fun. And they really did play. They still can play all their instruments and sing, so they've still got it. Then a couple other scenes we filmed included a scene where the director, who is Rob Reiner, who you may remember, played the character Marty DeBurgi in the original Spinal Tap film. Anyway, so they're showing him interviewing in this scene, they're showing him interviewing fans as they're coming to the concert. And at one point, he's talking to a fan who is kind of like out to lunch. He doesn't know what's really going on. He doesn't even know who Spinal Tap is, but he's buying a ticket to the concert. And Marty DeBurgi is trying to figure out why he's there. And it just, it's farcical, but it's funny. So I'm walking by and I raise my eyebrow to look at this guy who's so goofy. I'm hoping that will make the camera. They said it probably would, or make the final cut. So it was a lot of fun to do that, and I would encourage everybody to go see it if you're a fan of the first one at all, which is hilarious. And you
When's
don't
it,
have to be a musician to enjoy it. It was hilarious, and it comes out.
when is it supposed to debut?
I believe
Really?
it's around the 1st of September was the last I heard. They moved those things around a little bit, but I know they were shooting for the end of summer, and as of like 2 weeks ago, I remember I heard the first week in September.
How did you get that gig, Rusty?
Like I said, I'd done shooting for extras as an extra for TV and movies and stuff before, and I'd been on some film and theater and TV stuff over the years. So I'm actually on a list that they keep in, that a casting firm keeps in New Orleans. So they will call you, message you, and say, listen, we're recording or filming for such and such this weekend. Would you want to come be, or, help us out? Would you be on the, be an extra for us or do whatever? Um, and I had seen that. I actually called them this time because I had seen that Spinal Tap was going to be filming in town. So I called the casting company and said, "You need anybody to work in Spinal Tap?" I said, "Oh yeah, we really do." So that it was as simple as that. There was no audition or anything like that. They just had my name and knew that I would be willing to do it.
Now, Adam's giving me more information. This film is scheduled to be released in the United States on September the 12th. And also says this is pretty interesting, Rusty.
Yeah.
Musician Paul McCartney, Elton John, Garth Brooks, uh, Questlove, I don't know who that is, Trisha Yearwood, Chad Smith, and Lars
Ulrich. Yeah.
Ulrich are planned to appear as themselves. Thank you, Adam.
Yes, that's all true. In fact, Paul McCartney and Elton John were both in New Orleans, so we saw them. They just performed as part of the show. And I don't know, I did not see Questlove is a famous drummer who was with multiple bands. Trisha Yearwood's a country music singer. Chad Smith is the drummer for Red Hot Chili Peppers. Lars Ulrich is the drummer for Metallica. One of the running gags in Spinal Tap is that their drummers keep dying. They've been through like half a dozen drummers because they die in these bizarre, like a bizarre gardening accident was one of the jokes that they had. And there was nothing left of him but a green globule. So they are getting all these guys who are famous drummers to come on the show and turn. I think what they do is they ask them, to play with Spinal Tap, and they turn it down because they're afraid they're going to be killed. So I'm sure it's hilarious.
That'll be great. There's no doubt about it. Very interesting life you lead. Another thing we want to talk about, and we'll get into wrestling, we're going to ask our Team Hell's members to join us on camera and on the microphone because later on we're going to do as thorough as we can do preview of Wrestle Mania, and I want everybody's thoughts on that. And certainly we'll talk Memphis wrestling as well. And I'm looking to see where else we can go. One of my favorite segments of the show is when we take a look at some of the classic cards of the past. I want to go to image 3820. This was Bowling Green, Kentucky, about an hour from Nashville, Tennessee, up 65. Bowling Green, Kentucky, on April the 14th, 1971. Interesting, several things, Rusty, interesting about this card. This is an entire night of professional wrestling. Ringside was $3. General admission two. Children under 10 was $1. The promoters were Nick Gulas and Roy Welch. Television can be seen in Bowling Green at WBKO TV channel 13 from 9 to 10 p.m. And that card in Bowling Green, Jerry Dean was the opening match against Randy West. Knows this guy, so do I. The brother of my mentor and Randy West's father-in-law, Thomas Marlin, and against Jerry Dean in the opening match. Jerry Dean in
Yeah, I
19.
don't know Jerry Dean, but I
I
know Thomas Marlin.
I didn't know Jerry either, and I would assume he wrestled in what we call the Nashville end of the territory and not the Memphis end, or I would have known him. Second match of the three-match card, Big Al Green, manager Sir Steve Clemens against George Strickland and Eddie Marlin. I am sure the last two matches, 2 out of 3 fall matches. So Al Green, Steve Clements, George Strickland, and Eddie Martin. Your thoughts there of a Memphis guy that watched wrestling in the 70s, Rusty?
Oh, Al Green, and you can see his brother Don Green is in the next match. But those guys were legendary in Memphis, as was Eddie Marlin. And he started out obviously as a wrestler before he came in and became an administrator on the show. So people who weren't around in the 60s and 70s may not have realized how big a name Eddie Marlin was as a wrestler before he became, part manager, booker, administrator.
No doubt about it. And the main event was for the NWA US Junior Championship. This is before the Southern title was changed to a heavyweight title. Until 1974, there was no heavyweight, zero heavyweight belts in the Memphis Gillis Welch territory. That eventually changed. But the main event in Bowling Green, a U.S. Junior Heavyweight Championship, Don Green and Lynn Rossi. I saw Lynn Rossi several times. However, he had his car wreck uh, early on, and he was living in Nashville. How much did you see Lynn Rossi, a former tag team partner of Bearcat Brown?
I don't remember actually seeing Lynn Rossi. I mean, I'd heard about him. I've seen video of him since then, I believe, but I can't recall. I know he was around. I don't specifically have a memory of seeing him myself, though.
But what do you think of that card? Nice, simple
Oh,
three-match
oh,
card.
absolutely. Oh, it's great. One
I'll,
interesting thing you mentioned about it was the junior heavyweight title. And my understanding about that, I think I heard Jim Cornette explain this one time. So when they started the NWA in the late 40s, Nick Gulas and Roy Welch were the our partners, basically, for the Tennessee territory, which included Memphis and Nashville and Birmingham and some others. Any rate, they were basically assigned by the NWA to have the junior heavyweight title. So they called it that up through, as you said, the 60s into the early 70s. And I don't know exactly the process for changing it, but I can recall Jackie Fargo and even at least for a while Jerry Lawler being introduced as the NWA Junior Southern Heavyweight Champion, and then they just quit saying that. They just called it the NWA Southern Heavyweight Champion. So I'm not sure what the process was for changing that, but I've always thought that was interesting. With that history was interesting.
they knew they were going with Lawler as the main guy in the territory, main heel in the territory, and Jerry Jarrett, I'm sure, just felt that he needed to be billed as heavyweight because they were bringing in Bobo Brazil and bringing in the Sheik and Dick the Bruiser and all kinds of
Oh
people.
yeah,
So,
Jack Briscoe, Terry
yeah,
Funk.
on the road to the NWA Championship, and we've talked about that before. The next card in mainstream media, it's maybe the most famous card ever in Memphis at the Mid South Coliseum. It's 3790, 3790. Now, the first match down at the bottom is incorrect. It says Bobby Eaton against J.R. Hart, a guy that was Jimmy Hart's sidekick. His Kenny Shane, I believe, was his name. That was a typo. That was not Bobby Eaton. That was Bobby Fulton. That was in the opening match of the night in Memphis, Tennessee. This date was April the 5th, 1977. The second match was Rick McCord and Roy Rogers, that Roy Rogers later in other territories wrestled as Johnny Rich. Roy Rogers is Tommy Rich's first cousin. McCord and Rogers against the original Midnight Express, Dennis Condrey and Randy Rose, with Norvell Austin in the corner. The next match was Tojo Yamamoto against Dutch Mantel, followed by Steve Kern, Stan Lane, and Eric Embry against Crazy Luke Graham, The Dream Machine, Troy Graham, and the Angel Frank Morrell. Then came a match that was booked for the Southern Tag Team Championship. Sweet Brown Sugar and Beautiful Bobby Eaton, Sweet Brown Sugar, of course, Coco Beware, and Beautiful Bobby Eaton, scheduled against Rick and Robert Gibson. Because of an injury, Rick Gibson was not there. The substitute, the partner of Robert Gibson, was Steve Kern. Then, in a Southern Heavyweight title match, Jerry Lawler, then in a non-title match, wrestled Andy Kaufman over about 8,600 people at the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis. Ended up on the Letterman show and worldwide publicity. So, what were you doing in April of 1982?
I was in my first year of medical school at that point, so I was in Memphis, and I was still in your first year of medical school. It's mostly lectures and book learning and stuff, so you have a little more time. So I still was watching Memphis wrestling pretty closely then, and I remember watching the whole Andy Kaufman saga pretty closely, and it was fascinating. The way they set it up was just you couldn't do it any better. They had Andy come down, and he was obviously playing a role, but he would say how stupid and dumb all the people from, the hillbillies from around Memphis were, and that they didn't wash, they weren't clean. He would get like a bar of soap and hold it up. This is soap. I know you've never seen this before. Oh, and he just generated heat that way. And Lawler was going to come out and set him straight and defend the honor of the people of Tennessee. And it worked it out into a terrific feud that, like you said, got national attention. They went on the Letterman show. They got mentioned in the national media. So it really was a fun experience. And they ended up making a movie about it later on, which I saw years ago, and I believe Jim Carrey played Andy Kaufman in the
Yes, Man
movie.
on the Moon.
That's it. And the movie was good too. So, but yeah, I was there for the whole thing. I probably virtually every match they had.
So let's put the card back up there real quick from Memphis that night. Any comments as you can, and on your notes, you should see the card starts on at the bottom of the first page and then on the second page. I don't know if you printed up your notes or not,
Yeah.
but any other notes there?
I thought, number one, I didn't remember J.R. Hart at first, but when you mentioned that, I now I remember who that is. The other thing I mentioned was Bobby Eaton. Was he in wrestling even in '77? He gotten into the business at that point?
This is not 77. This is 1982.
Oh, okay, okay. You're right. There was another one that was 77. Okay, I'm sorry, I was confusing that.
Uh,
What
yeah,
else? Another interesting thing, like you mentioned, the original Midnight Express. A lot of people didn't realize that started in Memphis and started with Dennis Condrey and Randy Rhodes and
it
Norvell
are
Austin. He was
it
a big part
actually
of it.
it actually started in southeastern wrestling in Pensacola, Florida, Mobile, Alabama. It started there. Then they
Wow, I
uh,
didn't know that.
they came. Any other comments before we bring Pat on
Go ahead.
about this card? We're going to reset the show right now, and Rusty and I will continue on these great cards. We want to start with the graphic from the Code Open because I'm sure Pat will want to talk about that. That this show today is dedicated to the memory of our friend Chris Ellis's mother. I went uh, tonight at 5 o'clock to the visitation. We'll go to the funeral in the morning. Chris' mother, Clyan Leonard, passed away Saturday night. Much love to Chris and Team Hales on the side. Also, I mentioned earlier, Pat Trammell, that regular listener BC Collins in the last week or so, his mother passed away. So a lot of members and Team Hales members and one of our panel members are having tough times now. Start as happy as I am to see you as always. We have one more bad thing to tell you about to keep you on the last 27 minutes of this show. A Memphis broadcasting icon passed away today at 91 years old. Wink Martindale, who later became a national sensation without a doubt. Wink passed away, a fantastic game show host, started his career in broadcasting in Jackson, Tennessee, moved to WHBQ, longtime game show host, dead at 91. So, welcome back to Birmingham. Pat Trammell just came in from a flight from Houston and a business trip in Houston. You're back on, and I think we need to address the news of the day.
Well, and of course I knew about Chris's mom, and I hate to hear that about Brad's mom. And Martindale was a Memphis icon before he was a national icon. So 91 years and a legend. That's a good ride. But send our thoughts and prayers to Chris, which I know you have and I already have, and I know all our people here will. And Doc, good to see you. Enjoyed listening to the podcast the other night. Glad you're on here.
Great. Thank you so much. Good to see you, Pat. Glad you could be here.
Yes, sir.
Now, the new podcast of the Blues Doctor will be released if all's good in the world, which sometimes it's not. But the Blues Doctor podcast, what's the subject matter? I've read, but I think you can clarify it better than I can. An interesting medical subject and much more on the Blues Doctor podcast. And Pat, thanks for watching that and supporting
Oh,
Russ.
yeah.
He supports us.
Yeah, we have a new episode of the Blues Doctor podcast coming out tonight. In theory, coming out at midnight tonight, so it'll be available tomorrow during the day. And this week, we're going to talk about a new ovarian cancer drug that recently had a trial that was seen to be positive. In other words, it does seem to be effective for at least some patients with ovarian cancer. One of the concerns with it is the pricing and the marketing of it. And I go into some detail about how the company that owns the drug makes money off of it and the arguments, both ethical and financial, about how that works. In addition to that, we talk about a little bit about the death of Kurt Cobain, which was this week in 1994. And I was a fan of Kurt's. We actually talk about Memphis music a little bit. And we've got a song of mine. Actually, I didn't write it, but I performed it. That will be in the podcast this week. So we got a little bit of everything. As you remember, Randy, we were traveling this past week, so we had to cut it down just a little bit. But I think we still got most of everything in. One other thing I was going to mention too, Randy, we have a new person in the chat who I don't think has been with us before, and that's Ms. Kalila Smith, who is a good friend of mine from New Orleans. And Kalila is kind of a celebrity in New Orleans. She owns and runs the Haunted History Tours in New Orleans that guides visitors and groups around the French Quarter to look at buildings that are haunted or have some interesting history associated with them. So if you visit New Orleans, go ahead and look up Haunted History Tours and check it out because it's very interesting. I think it's the best of the tours out there for New Orleans.
Hey, Kato, we appreciate it.
There she is.
A satisfied customer of New Orleans Haunted History Tours. So, Kayla, you've got my vote. I did that about 3 or 4 years ago and had a fantastic time.
Hey, on the one particular time that Rusty is going to be, he bides his time between uh, Orange Beach and New Orleans. It was just in New Orleans. Still has a place there. Me and you and maybe Michael and Chris, we should all get together and do everything you do, and maybe Rusty could meet us. That would be fun, Pat.
That would be fun. Absolutely.
Oh, I'm game.
Absolutely.
Just let me know.
Yeah, that would be absolutely thing, and I would love to see that tour for sure. There's no doubt about it. Now we were running over a couple of cards, but real quick, the card we talked about from 1982, Pat, or the famous Kaufman Lawler matches. We'll put that card back on there, and we'll backtrack then to a Louisville card in '77. But this card from April the 5th of 1982, typo, the opening match for Bobby Fulton against J.R. Hart. Dennis Condrey and Randy Rhodes with Norvell Austin, the Midnight Express against Rick McCord and Roy Rogers, who later became Johnny Rich. It is Tommy Rich's first cousin. A grudge match between Tojo Yamamoto and Dirty Dutch Mantel. Luke Graham and the Dream Machine and the French Angel Frank Morel against Steve Kern, Stan Lane, and Eric Embry. Then a Southern Heavyweight title match, Jerry Lawler against the Monk with Jimmy Hart. Then a Southern Tag Team Championship. It was booked Rick and Robert Gibson against Sweet Brown Sugar, Coco Ware, and Beautiful Bobby Eaton with Jimmy Hart against Rick and Robert Gibson. Rick Gibson was injured, couldn't be there, so it was Sweet Brown Sugar, Coco Ware, and Bobby Eaton defeating Robert Gibson and Steve Kern, who worked twice double duty that night. The main event was Taxi Star Andy Kaufman against Jerry the King Lawler on April 5th, 1982. We talked about it, so we're catching up with Pat's feedback.
Couple of questions on that. Was that the first time Kaufman was in Memphis or wrestling with Lawler? And two, Rusty brought up something about Bobby Eaton. When and how did I know Bobby's from Huntsville originally? How did he originally break into wrestling?
He was a ring boy in Huntsville, and he and his buddy, I think it was Orville Hutto,
Okay.
would put up the ring, and then they'd get in the ring and wrestle around, and the boys told Nick, said, hey, this kid, Bobby Eaton, is better than any of us. And so I think he started wrestling at 14 or 15 years old in the Goulas Inn, which was Huntsville, Chattanooga, and Birmingham. Now, what was your first question, Pat?
I asked if that was Kaufman and Lawler's first match.
It was their first match. Yes, it
First
was.
match in the ring, but not the first time we'd seen Andy Kaufman. You know,
Yeah,
he'd been
yeah.
doing the TV
He
bits
did it with
for
Miss Jackie and all that before. Yeah.
No,
right.
Foxy. Miss Jackie wasn't
Foxy.
nowhere around.
Okay,
Yes.
Foxy.
Foxy. And that was interesting. Crazy Gail says she misses beautiful uh, Bobby. And Alexander said on April the 5th, 1982, he turned 4 years old. I was 11 years old at that time. And again, I usually don't like to back track, but just something I think I put a lot of this together that I love when I'm watching this and I see Pat's face and his reaction to this go way back to a card in Bowling Green, Kentucky on April the 14th, 1971. If we can put that up there, the opening match of this night, a three-match card in Bowling Green. And if you look at the prices, it was $3 ringside, $2 general admission, children under 10, $1. Promoter Nicholas and Roy Welch. It was at the Southern Kentucky Fairgrounds in Bowling Green, Kentucky. The opening match was Jerry Dean, who I do not know, never heard of, against Thomas Marlin, Eddie Marlin's brother, great referee in the past. The second match, I'm sure a 2 out of 3 fall match, Big Al Green, Sir Steve Clemens against George Strickland and Eddie Marlin. That was the second match, the semifinal match. And the main event, NWA US Junior title match, Lynn Rossi against Don Green. Hey, Fat, what do you think about that Bowling Green card on April the 14th, 1971? Quick
Well,
thought.
well, I think two things. One, that looks like Eddie Marlin's induction photo into the Army after the haircut. And number two, I think Nick must have written that card out because he misspelled Tommy Marlin's name, and according to Michael, he was a horrifically bad speller.
I think it was George that did that.
Okay.
I think that's who Michael says a bad speller. George did the print advertising, and he didn't do it very well. Any more comments about that car?
No,
I would love to see. Tell the story to Rusty real quick. How you went by and met Mr. Rossi.
Rusty, my first babyface hero was Lynn Rossi, and Robert Fuller and Jimmy Golden. And I grew up in a little town called Talladega, Alabama, about an hour from Birmingham, and they wrestled on Monday nights at Boutwell Auditorium. And my brother took me to see Lynn Rossi and Bearcat Brown against the Greens, and that was the first match I ever saw. And Lynn
Oh,
Rossi
that's great.
was the first hero of mine, and for many years after he got out of wrestling, which was he had a car wreck, which really um, you know moved up that a good bit. He had a health food store, or basically a nutrient supplement store on on the back road, and I forgot the name of the road. It's a major thoroughfare now between Franklin, Tennessee, and Nashville. And one afternoon, about 5 or 6, 7 or 8 years ago, I was riding by and I pulled through and went in, and he was in there,
Oh,
and we spent the afternoon together, and which that was a great treat for me.
oh, absolutely. No,
Yeah,
I don't remember that I ever actually saw Lynn Rossi, although I knew the names. I saw Don and Al Green, and for like you said, Lynn got out relatively early after he had his automobile accident.
yeah. And he stayed with Nick, obviously, and but he, there's some old footage of him wrestling in the Midwest, and he was one of the first. I mean, he's a you know relatively not tall in stature, but he was
Right.
one of the first bodybuilder wrestlers out there.
Oh yeah, he had a
And
great physique. I remember seeing some of his videos.
yeah, yeah,
Another great card I want to show, and this is from Louisville, Kentucky on April the 5th, 1977. I believe this is 3791, Louisville, Kentucky. And man, this is a pretty interesting card by 1977, by April the 5th in 1977. Ticket prices at this point was $4 ringside, $3.50 and $2.50. It says watch Championship Wrestling on WDRB TV channel 41 Saturdays from 4:30 to 5:30. The opening match of the night was two great baby faces, two great talents, Ricky Gibson and Tommy Gilbert against the tag team of Dirty Dutch Mantel and Pork Chop Cash. The second match of the night was Big Plowboy Stan Frazier, Uncle Elmer, later in the WWF against George Wagner, Gorgeous George Jr. Then came for the NWA Southern Heavyweight Championship, the champion, the father of the hottest movie star on the planet, Rocky the Soul Man Johnson against Dr. D. David Schultz. What a big time match that was. What
I was
a
just going to say, what a match. Those are two legit, tough guys and big names. And they're only the third match on the card. It's
third,
amazing.
third match on the card. This match is something. Just 5 matches, not the 10, 12, 15 matches you see these days. Then the NWA Southern Tag Team Championship, Phil Hickerson and Dennis Condrey with manager Rock Hunter. That relationship with Rock Hunter and Hickerson and Condrey didn't last long. Hickerson and Condrey, one of the best heel tag teams I've ever seen. I think, even though Dennis Condrey, known worldwide as uh, uh, tag team partners, a part of the Midnight Express and all that, Dennis Condrey was certainly, I think, his best tag team partner ever was Phil Hickerson. They made a hell of a team against Tommy Rich and Bill Dundee. Now, the main event, a special challenge match, the match that happened in Louisville, Kentucky, that never, ever happened, ever in Memphis, Tennessee, or anywhere else. This happened in Louisville on April the 5th, 1977. As the ad says, 7'4", 424 pounds, Andre the Giant against Jerry Lawler. You see that picture of Andre the Giant and Eddie Marlin? I have it on my wall at home. Eddie, I sold that very same picture at the matches in Jonesboro almost every Saturday night for 50 cents. I would get 5 cents out of the 50 cents. I think I talked about that with you over dinner the other night in Memphis at that great restaurant. But that card, and we'll start with Pat first because I'm digging out some good cards tonight, don't you think, Mr. Pat?
I believe you are. I really do. And when I see that, the first thing I think of is, my gosh, I would have loved to see Phil Hickerson and Dennis Condrey have a 5, 6 year run as a tag team, because I think Hickerson is in my list of probably the most underrated ring talents at least in the running for the most underrated ring talent in Memphis history. I just think that guy was so good.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Randy, I've got a question if you know.
Okay.
When Andre was brought in, and I think, everybody was like the world champion. Everybody tried to get him on the card 2 or 3 different times a year if you could. Was he paid a flat rate, or did he take a cut of the house?
I wasn't in the office at that point, and really, money from the wrestlers was kayfabe like hell. So I have no idea.
Yeah.
I would assume, this ain't facts, but I would assume that they paid a percent of the house just like a world champion. I would guess 10% of the gross would be my guess.
Okay. And that's what a world champion generally got?
Yes. Tom's
So
asking how Phil is doing these days. He's still kicking. He's had a rough couple of years health wise, but he's still around. I wanted Phil and Jackson. He's already a member of the Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame, but I wanted him to appear since he lives there. But I love Phil Hickerson. One of the greatest, bigger guys I've ever seen in my life.
yeah,
Oh, absolutely. You know, and he was a legit tough guy too. I'll never forget the time on Saturday morning TV, the Ultimate Warrior, before he was the Ultimate Warrior, um, came on with the guy who went on to become Sting, and Phil Hickerson came out on TV that same morning and accused them on the air of taking steroids, which they
Yeah.
were.
I
We
remember
know
that.
that.
Nobody even talked about that then, you know,
Yeah.
and I remember thinking about it, Ultimate Warrior, and what was his real name? Jim something
Hellwig,
or other.
Hellwig.
That's it. You know, told uh, Phil he was going to come out and and beat him up. Phil Hickerson could have taken Jim Hellwig's foot and put it in his mouth if he wanted to.
Crazy stuff.
Absolutely.
Alexander has a question. Randy, would you or Jerry Jarrett allow the infamous John Moxley spot that had his back impaled with nails on a board in your ring? We did a lot of. I would. My thing is no. We wouldn't. But then, based on the crazy stuff we did through the years, I can't swear to that. What do you think? I didn't even see that spot they're talking about because I quit watching AEW very much, so I didn't see the spot. But I've read about it, and a lot of people were up in arms about it. I like my violence in wrestling. I really do. I'd have to see it to comment on it. Pat, do you know what he's talking about?
Yeah, I know what he's talking about, and yeah, I'm good for violence in wrestling too. But it's like everything. I'm gonna. I was for him. I was for him so much. But I'm not opposed to that. What I'm opposed to is it being scripted like a ballet, which is what it was.
Yes, that's a fantastic point. Couldn't have said it better myself. Any other comments from any of the cards we talked about, either one of you guys, before we move on to our WrestleMania preview?
Great cards.
Yeah, a random. You really have to, and I appreciate Randy you coming through with these random cars from the random years, and it just tells you every Monday night, every Tuesday night in Louisville, every Thursday night in Evansville, there was always people you wanted to see on the cards. Always.
Absolutely. We grew up with it, and you grew up with the Birmingham Inn, and I think that's one of the things that makes this show is interesting. We have the perspective of those of us uh, the Blues Doctor and myself that grew up watching Memphis wrestling and the Memphis TV show, and you and Michael grew, and Chris Ellis as well. And we have Michael and Pat Trammell grew up watching the Birmingham Chattanooga that end, and we can tell the whole story of the entire territory pre-split in different perspective. And I think that's something that I'll have to lean on you and Michael for, but it's something important to do.
I wonder this myself.
Yeah,
I'm
I
looking.
never saw Birmingham wrestling. I don't remember ever seeing that. I could see, we could get there was a TV channel from Jackson that I could get, as well as Memphis. Obviously, we could get. It seemed like there was one more. Was there a TV station in Jonesboro then, Randy?
There was a TV station in Tupelo.
Tupelo. That's what
And
it
there was
was.
this TV station in Jonesboro that had wrestling in the late 60s, but I have no memory of that.
Yeah.
Wasn't a wrestling fan to about 10 years old in 1971. Anything else, Pat, before?
Well, I also got to see Montgomery too, if you'll remember.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that
the
was
Goldens,
the
right?
Goldens. Yeah, 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 yeah.
That
Just
is
because of our strange experiment. Our town was an experiment for cable TV. It was one of three in the country Talladega, Alabama, Denver, Colorado, and Scottsdale, Arizona. And we had channels moving in and out from 3 or 4 states before
Wow.
they was really cable. But the thing I had is Randy PJ has a question. That's what I was talking about. Where did PY2 High come from?
It was the time period I was mad at your best friend Jerry Jarrett, and I wasn't around. I think it might have been a Tojo idea or a Jeff Jarrett idea. I don't see Jerry Jarrett coming up with PY Chew. I wasn't around then.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
I wasn't around then. I don't know. The next portion of the show is the biggest, whether most of our audience don't like modern wrestling, and I waited a good 50 minutes before we go with it, but without a doubt, and I don't think anybody can argue about that since the mid 80s, the biggest, most successful wrestling event of the year is WrestleMania. Are you excited about it? Are you not excited about it? We'll talk about that. We have 4 different pictures as I go over these cards we'll take a look at. I want Adam, if you would, Adam, go ahead and put a link on the screen and also in the comment section where the viewers can see. If you see it in the comment section, the link to join as a guest, I want you guys to come on with Rusty and me and Pat Trammell, and I want your comments on WrestleMania. And it's this week, and we'll go with a picture, and it's in Las Vegas, and this is the first time guy in history. I don't know if I like this or not because we never ran a wrestling event on a Sunday, on Easter Sunday. It's never been done. This, of course, is Easter weekend. WrestleMania is so big the last several years. It's been 2 nights in a row. Saturday night, April the 19th, it will be night one. And here is the listed card. And there's a couple other matches. Randy Orton was scheduled against Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens' major injury, and who Randy Orton and which day he'll wrestle has not been released as far as I know, unless it was released on Monday Night Raw last night, and I don't think it was. Al can probably tell us that for sure, do some research. Night one is the WWE Women's title, Charlotte Flair against Tiffany Stratton. The second match will be for the world title, Gunther, who I love, against Jey Uso, one of the top 2 baby faces in the WWE, the top merchandise seller. There is no doubt about it. Jey Uso against Gunther. Then the third match, Jade Cargill, who debuted in AEW against Naomi. That's the story they have going. Then a fourth match is the tag title match, the New Day against the War Raiders. The fifth match is a U.S. title match, LA Knight, who I think he's going to lose, against Jacob Fatu. Rey Mysterio against El Grande. And the main event of night one is a triple threat match. Roman Reigns against Seth Rollins against CM Punk. That's the first night. That's the first match or the first night matches of WrestleMania. So real quick, Pat, what do you think the draw of that night is? Then later on when I read night two, I'm going to ask both of you the question, which night, if you had to go just one night, not two, which night would you pick? But Pat, night one, what's your thoughts?
I mean, I think there's some great matches in there, and be kind of excited to see them.
How about you, Rusty?
Oh, I agree. I think if I had to pick out one, it would be Rollins versus Reigns versus Punk. I think that was the one they've done the best build up for. And I've told you, Randy, I don't watch WWE all that much anymore, but I do start to pay attention again around WrestleMania. because, like you said, it's such a big deal. It's kind of like their season finale, basically, for each year. So I've been watching the last couple of weeks. So they've really built that matchup, I think, well. The interactions between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, in particular, I think has been very good. So that would be the one I would pick for the potentially the best match that night.
Very interesting double night. In the comment section, and we'll get the audience in here, and we please want you guys to cooperate, easy for me to say. And in the comments section, you can click on that link. If for some reason you can't see it anywhere, because if you're looking on Twitter, you can't, but Facebook, all the Facebook streams and also YouTube, you can click on in the comments section, or you can see the screen that Adam has put up there now, and you can take a picture of that. You can't click on that one. You can take a picture of it, then type it in your URL. We'll continue with the pictures, and we will take a look at night 2 WrestleMania card, and if we could switch up on the pictures somewhat of the 4 WrestleMania pictures that I have uploaded, Adam, and that night will be, opening match will be Io Sky against Rhea Ripley, followed by AJ Styles, which is absolutely a phenomenal wrestling talent, against a major social media influencer and the celebrity that got our business better than anybody has ever gotten it. And that's Logan Paul. What a heel he is. And then the next match, and we have a graphic of the matches with the different matches, with the pictures of the matches in the setup there somewhere, Adam. Liv and Raquel against Bailey and Lyra is one of the matches. A match that I wouldn't mind seeing for the Intercontinental title, Braun Breaker or Braun, Steiner, Rick Steiner's son, against Penta and Dominic Mysterio. Then we also have Damian Priest against Drew McIntyre in a Sin City street fight. We will also see the undisputed title, Cody against Cena. Cody against Cena. If anybody wants to come on the show and make your comments on the thing, the comment that I will say right now, compared to last year, the greatest, most successful WrestleMania ever, it was a twofold. First of all, it was the end of a story, a 2-year story they had patience with the road to his dream, Cody Rhodes winning the WWE world title over Roman Reigns. But the second thing that made this whole event, the whole build up to the match, Roman and Cody, and the involvement of The Rock, and the first night main event was The Rock and Roman against Cody and Seth. The second night was Roman and Roman and Cody for the world title. That was just absolutely unbelievable. This is Cena's chance to win the world champion again for the 17th time. It's just a big match. My point, guys, is I'm not at all saying this is a bad card. I'm also not saying they've done a bad job with the build-up compared to the unbelievable deal. They were hitting on all cylinders last year. I think last year's build-up was better. What do you guys think? Pat Trammell and Rusty Robinson.
Well,
Well,
I agree. Yeah, as I said before, I thought fine. I thought the Reigns versus Punk match was good. I didn't quite get the build up from Rhodes and Cena as much. You know, when he came in and when Cena came in and turned or sided with The Rock to turn against, you know, it's just like out of the blue. I didn't get that as much. So I agree with you. I think the build up and just the logic behind the matches last year was better.
How about you, Pat?
The Cena Cody match on the third night is my third favorite match I want to see. I want to see Styles and Logan Paul, and I want to see Drew McIntyre and his match, and then that one's third. And I just think John Cena's coming to get a paycheck. I mean, you know, there's no chase for this. Can he get it back? Okay. Is Magic going to come back for one more run? It's that kind of stuff, and it just doesn't feel intense to me.
Yeah, it's like he was shoehorned in at the last minute because
That's
he
right.
wanted to come back and get a check, and so they
Y-
said, "Oh, okay, we'll get," you know, because they were
Yeah,
loyal to him.
yeah. I mean, there's too much talent on that roster not to have a real program with Cody. And I'm John Cena is an actor now, and I mean I know they're all actors, but I mean, uh, let Seth and Cody wrestle twice a month, for a year. Let them do. What did Lawler do one time? They had a 7 match series or something early in his career with somebody
Oh, Jackie Fargo.
with
They,
Fargo. Yeah,
yeah, they went like a whole summer, like 10 or 12 weeks in a row, as I recall. Something wasn't that it, Randy? Like I think it
Yeah,
was 74 or so.
do that. Do that.
we have our first. This is audio only. He's having problems with his video, uh, and certainly want to bring in. And our thoughts and prayers are to BC Collins. BC's in the house, and we'll bring him on the show. And then again, hope you're doing okay. And you wanted to come in and give your thoughts on WrestleMania.
I did. I've been listening, and I appreciate what you said earlier, Randy, and thank you for saying that. It's been very, it's the last 2 weeks have been very, very difficult. Quite a shock, unexpected. I'm having services on Friday, um, tonight, and tomorrow I'll be planning my eulogy and all, for my mother. But I am trying to do things to keep my mind off of it, and but I still have it in my mind, and wrestling is certainly one of those things. And I've enjoyed the show tonight. Rusty and Pat, it's good to see you and talk with you. Um, but I just want to chime in on WrestleMania. I heard you guys talking, and I'm excited for it, Randy. And I certainly hope that you're going to have some recap shows after that this week.
Let's go ahead and Adam and put the graphic up there. Saturday and Sunday between 9 and 10, something like that. We will be live. Pat usually joins the show. BC usually do. Rusty, if I'll send you a link if you're up that late, uh, both nights, Saturday or Sunday, immediately after WrestleMania is concerned. Which match, Brad, are you looking forward to?
It's a toss up between the triple threat and the and Cody and Cena, but Cody and Cena because that I would give that one because I think something from Saturday out of that triple threat match could happen and be something could from that could evolve into the Rhodes Cena match. I have no idea, but those are the thoughts that go through my mind when I think about this. But uh, that's the one match that I'm looking forward to because we know that with WrestleMania, there's going to be the WrestleMania moments. There's going to be some surprises. We've seen the legends and the superstars who are going to be in Vegas that week. Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart. Who knows what could happen? I don't know if there's no stipulation in this match to my knowledge. Last year they had the tribal tribal rules, basically a no disqualification. But this match is straight up. I think. I don't think there's any disqualification, but that doesn't really matter. But I think all titles are changing hands. Every title changes hands.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
all of them. I think it happened last year, and I'm going to say it all goes down again. They've got a plan for Cena. Jey Uso is too over. It makes sense that Gunther is graduated from the world heavyweight title and is ready to move on to the undisputed championship conversation maybe later on this year. I don't know. These are just things that I am that go through my head. As most fans and people who think about these things do, and it gets my mind off other personal things too. But it is.
One of
Yeah, I
Go ahead,
agree with
Randy.
you, Brad. For that, particularly with Cena, that he's going to take the title from Rhodes. I wonder if they're getting ready to set him up with uh, CM Punk. Let Punk somehow be the next opponent for Cena for the title.
could
Could
be.
be. I mean, there's going to be all kinds of options that come out of that, especially if Cena is over with that, which I agree. I think he will be. The door is open for SummerSlam, and we'll just have to wait and see. And those are things, Randy, that we can. I would love to talk about after the shows this weekend. Those are things we can break down after the matches, um, and find out. I don't see much out of the prelims, the secondaries. I think that I don't know. I'm not a booker or whatnot, but this Charlotte Flair and Tiff Stratton, to me, that should be a squash. That should be a less than 5 minute match with Charlotte Flair just over. Let Tiff get her little moves in, but punk her out and then just put her off of TV for a few weeks and go to Plan B. Um, that's my only comment about any other match. Other than that, then I think the rest of the card is just shaping up to be spectacular. But I am stating all titles change hands.
Okay.
One of the things that I will say, I've liked the scene. I think the elimination chamber, the switch with John Cena was brilliant. I thought it was just absolutely great. I think the fact that they don't have and Rock, to give the devil his due, the build to WrestleMania last year, he was on every television, week after week after week, and it's pushed down people's throat. I think we waited too long before Cena gave an explanation, and basically he said, "Y'all made me do it." He turned it on the fans. Basically, he was the victim. I think they could have come up with something. I think the old jealousy deal is that he's jealous of the fact uh, that now all of a sudden uh, it's Cody Rhodes in his spot. Cody Rhodes is who the kids love. Cody Rhodes is who the kids. I think they could have got there. I think it's been a little underwhelming. Both nights, I guess I would say what I'm interested in, I guess, the main thing would be nothing like that main title. So Cody and Cena, and I expect the Rock involvement and all kind of thing. On night number two, I would say Cody and Cena. The next one that I'm interested in would be AJ Styles and Logan Paul. Really nothing else on that card. No desire at all to see Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre in any way, form, shape at all. So that's my two matches on night two. On night number one, I want to see uh, Seth and Punk. Roman, Seth, and Punk, no doubt. That would be my number one. I'd be interested in LA Knight and Jacob Fatu as well, and Gunner and Jey Uso, and certainly Charlotte Flair and Tiffany uh, Stratton out of 13 matches that they've announced so far, with one more, 14 with Orton against somebody, I'm seeing two, three, four matches I want to see. 4 out of 13. That's not too good, folks.
No, that's not too good.
Am I wrong?
You know, one thing I might add to that, what about Braun Breaker?
Yeah, Braun Breaker. You know, honestly, I love him, and this could be interesting. Braun Breaker. Now, Penta is one of the AAA wrestlers from Mexico, and he does exciting stuff. I think this might be a little bit of a style clash, but I like Dominic Mysterio because he really knows how to heel, and they really hate him, and he doesn't pretend to be nothing but a heel. He's not trying to be cool, a cool heel. He's want to be a hated heel, and everybody in the building think they can whoop him. I bet they couldn't, but they think they can, and that's what you want from from your heel without out of doubt. So it will be a very interesting night. And folks, if anybody else wants to come in and join the show, you can. And I'm putting up there now in the comment section that and WrestleMania. And Adam, we have a caption for. I believe I put a caption for the Saturday and Sunday show, the WrestleMania preview show. If you can find a caption that says that, folks, I'm just guessing on the time. It will be the Randy Hale Show reviewing WrestleMania, and it will be this Saturday and Sunday night. It starts at 6 Central, so I'm thinking it'll be maybe 9:30 or 10 o'clock, something like that, because it is a two match. So this is not going to be a marathon night, for sure. It's 8:12 Central Standard Time. Any final comments you'd like to say? Or no, Pat had a comment. We'll go with Pat first.
Yeah, I just want to make a kind of an observation. You know, I grew up watching Dusty chase the title in Georgia Championship and early stage WCW, and you know Harley had it forever. You know, Rich had it a while. A couple people, Rich had it for 3 days. You know, Dusty chased it, Flair chased it. You know, it was all that. Dusty was the always chasing babyface, and he had the title 3 times in probably a 4 or 5 year period in Georgia. And maybe they're going to book Cody that way. Maybe they're going to let him keep it 4 months. Maybe they're going to let Cena get it, and maybe he's going to, you know, maybe the booking is his quest to get it back because his daddy drew a lot of money just exactly like that.
And remember, Dusty Rhodes never held that title for 1 year.
Hmm.
No, no, he held it I think for about 4 months once.
Cody has held it for a year.
Okay.
And so it's in the chase. You're absolutely
Yep.
true. Here's the thing, you have to have that right heel. Is Cena the right heel when if is Cena the right heel
I,
because his
well,
career's
Cena's
almost over?
you know, I'll tell you, not that they're ever going to lose any money, but you know, turning Cena heel for this it would be a big risk in a territory wrestling environment, right?
Yep. No
Fans are
question.
gonna, the fans are going to decide with their match at WrestleMania. They love their chants. They love their "Let's go Cena." Cena sucks. They love their Cody Rhodes, Cody Rhodes. You know, they love that. I know overseas in Vegas, I don't know so much, but the fans will decide. It's going to be who knows. I mean, during the middle of that match, there could be something that happens where Cena all of a sudden you may not know who the heel or the baby is, like with Rock and Hogan at some point. You don't know. Cena, I mean, still, even when he's coming out as the heel, which she says he's not, he's still getting cheers mixed
but
with
certainly
cheers.
not the majorities. And
I
I
agree.
don't think Cody's getting any boost.
No, he's not. Cody's his shtick is it's just stale. It really is.
There is
You
a
Well,
know,
business
his
level
stick
there.
was
I disagree with that absolutely.
well, his stick was the chase, right?
But he's held the company up the last year. If this would have been a failure, the metrics that are at a all-time high is just unbelievable. Will I think WrestleMania be down? I certainly do. I just don't think that they've hammered the story with Cena. I think the fact that
Yeah.
Cena's a part-time wrestler. I think if they'd have gone with Cena and Randy Orton, they have history between the two of them and have a 4 month story. I think that would have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
And that would be the match that I would certainly be interested in.
Hey, I got a question for all of you guys. So you talk about surprises at WrestleMania. You think there's any chance Ric Flair shows up for either the Cena Rhodes match or for Charlotte's match?
Dear God, let's hope not.
Charlotte, but you know what? Who knows? I don't think that would happen, um, but you never know. I
I
mean,
don't think
it's
they would let him do anything physical.
Right.
oh,
No,
definitely not physical, but
I don't. So I don't think it would hurt. I mean, the bells and whistles of WrestleMania, as long as it's not, I mean, he doesn't need to take one bump. He doesn't even need to get in the ring. Maybe, maybe he can uh, uh, see the psychology. He doesn't want Cena
Right.
to win his thing. Well, so that would be a babyface move. But the babyface in this match technically is Cody Rhodes, and a babyface Cody Rhodes don't need Ric Flair to help him win. That would hurt. He's been the Teflon King, and and nothing has phased him. But if it took Ric Flair to help Cody to win that world, to retain that world title, that would be the high risk you were talking about, Pat. That would be bad.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, that's just that whole thing just can't even comment on it. James Dusty won the title from Harley twice, and then Flair the last time. Um, but yeah, Flair just needs to stay away. I mean, it's just a sad caricature now, and it's hard for me to watch.
No,
Any
I know
final
what you mean, and I agree. Rick is, embarrassing himself more than he's contributing, or he's tearing down his legacy and embarrassing himself.
Yeah.
We'll talk much more detail. Anybody can come on next Saturday and Sunday night as we will do it again, and it won't be a midnight type of show. And I like these early start times. It starts at 6 Central, 7 Eastern. It's coming from Las Vegas, Nevada. Any final words tonight before we see you again on Saturday night, Brad?
well, no, I don't. I'm just everybody have a great week, and if you got your mother still with you, hug her, and if you uh, would also hug her again and do that for me, I would appreciate it.
I think everybody on the screen has lost their mother, so we all know what you're talking about, don't we, Pat?
We do, and Brad, you're in our thoughts and prayers. I will tell you from my perspective, from me personally, my mother still comes to me, and she'll come to you when you need her.
Strong words. Thank you. Thank you, Brad.
You guys have a good night. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks, Brad.
We love you,
All right,
man.
we'll see you guys later.
All right, and that was just good stuff. We're going to complete 91. I don't usually do this. Our microphones will be on. We showed November the 18th, part number one last week, 9 minutes. I usually don't show videos that's 30 minutes in length. Our audio is going to be, this is just several highlights from November the 18th of the year 1990. Adam, this is November 18th, too. It's 30 minutes and 13 seconds. If we can air that right now on Talking Memphis Wrestling, Rusty, Randy, and Pat.
Worth in their quest for the World Tag Team Championship belts right here on television today.
This is Dirty White Boy and Dangerous Doug Gilbert
action, you folks in
against
Nashville tonight
Bill
and
Dundee
Kentucky tomorrow night.
and Jamie Dundee. In the corner is Sam
Outstanding cards, one of the biggest
Lowe,
cards ever,
Sam
both in Nashville and
Basslow,
also in
the manager
Louisville. Make
of
your
the
plans
Memphis
if you're in those
Mafia.
areas to be there.
There's a very
Nashville tonight,
young
Louisville
Jamie
tomorrow night.
Dundee
Look
in
at the drop kick by
1991.
Tony Anthony. That was a good move.
Who's the referee, Randy?
Oh, yeah, great. Agile, talented, tough, rough, muscular, strong.
Into the boot of Dirty
Gary
Doug
Calhoun.
Gilbert in the corner. And now Tony Anthony went over and nailed Jamie Dundee in the corner.
Only because Jamie was
Isn't that
trying to
Adam?
interfere without tagging, and Tony was trying to explain to him the rules.
Jamie was out
Yes,
minding
yes,
his own
yeah.
business in the corner exactly where he was supposed
Never
to be.
seen him in
Tony
that
Anthony
shirt
had no
before.
business taking a shot at him over there. Doug Gilbert drops with a fist.
And Dave, talking about those big cards in Nashville and Louisville, you know downtown Bruno is going to be a part of any USWA action coming anywhere across the country. So everybody can come down and see the best-looking man in professional wrestling. And as far as this match right here, I'm sure you'll be able to see the
Downtown
World Tag
Bruno
Team
is
champions
doing
there,
commentary
Dirty
of the
White Boy
match.
and Doug Gilbert.
What did you
So
think
we'll be
about
back
Bruno,
there
Rusty?
back.
Champions or not, they may
You know, I like Bruno. I thought he was interesting. He was a little after my time, so I've only seen him in retrospect.
You must think he's
I
George
was I didn't
Foreman or
really
something.
see
Look,
him
they're all
live.
using a fist. It's against the
But
rules.
I thought his
Entirely against the
evolution
rules.
was
And
just
all four of them
fascinating.
use it, Phil. You're right. Bill Dundee has Tony Anthony down. Look out, Tojo Yamamoto jumps in. He threw something in Bill's eyes.
Tojo.
Tony Anthony now has Bill down.
Mojo in the, I
Oh,
wish you
my
people,
goodness.
I'm sure if you look at the screen, Pat Trammell hopped on that one.
Yamamoto with a
Pat
handful of
Trammell
what
came
Me
out
too.
of
from
the
here
chicken.
to be salt. He threw in Bill Dundee's eyes and also remember.
Now, who is
Bill's
the
got that
guy
cut on his
with
forehead,
Gilbert
throws
and them?
salt
I
in the
forget his
wound
His
name.
name's
there.
Sam Lowe. He's the
Bill and
photographer, and
Jamie
Eddie Gilbert
Dundee looked like they had it going their way.
was
Bill
booking,
had Tony Anthony
and
down.
hit
It
him, my
looked like
manager.
perhaps for the 3 count. The referee
Sam
was involved over in
Lowe.
the corner. By the time he got back, Dundee had been hit with assault in the eyes and in that wound, and Tony Anthony had him down for the 3 count.
Isn't Jamie
they're
clean
still
cut there?
champions, USWA Tag Team
Good
champions,
God,
the
that
Dirty White Boy
changed.
and Dirty Doug Gilbert. Jamie, you need to get Bill out, get him attended to there. We'll take a break and see if we can talk to the Dundees in a moment. Stay with us.
First part of that action from November the 18th, 1980, the year of USWA Wrestling. This is a particular day. Here's Michael St. John, everybody.
Thanksgiving Eve Spectacular Wednesday night at the Evansville Coliseum. The Southern Heavyweight Championship will be
This
on
is
the
the
line
localized
with the
promos.
match as
This
Jeff
was
Jarrett,
done in Randy
seconded by
West's
Eddie
house.
Marlin, will take on Hot Stuff Eddie
In
Gilbert,
his
seconded by
office,
Sam
in
Bass.
his studio.
Opening action will have Cody Michaels against Joey Maggs in a return match, and a special event, Jamie Dundee takes on Tojo Yamamoto. A return USWA tag title match, Brickhouse Brown and Danny Davis take on the Dirty White Boy and Dirty Doug Gilbert. There'll be a 5-round cat fight boxing match as Sweet Georgia Brown takes on the Dirty White Girl. That's worth the price of admission right there. Plus, a loser of the fall leaves the USWA for an entire year. Jamie and Bill Dundee team against Sheikh Abdul Hussein and Sheikh Fabiano with Downtown Bruno in their corner. Plus, there'll be a Renegade $5,000 grab for the green at the Evansville Coliseum Wednesday night for this big Thanksgiving Eve special. Then the big main event, of course, the Southern Heavyweight title on the line. The Coward waves the flag rules. Jeff Jarrett, seconded by Eddie Marlin, takes on.
So this was the
Gilbert,
Evansville
seconded by
promo.
Sam Bass. A Thanksgiving Eve
Yes,
special
it was the
at Evansville
previous
Coliseum.
Saturday's
For you wrestling
television
fans in
show.
Jasper, Indiana, we're coming your way on
And
Thursday.
then
the 29th,
they
the National
inserted,
Guard Army. Jeff
they-
Jarrett, Bill Dundee, the
they
Gilberts will be there,
inserted,
a grab for the green, and much more
the
from Jasper,
local
Indiana,
promo,
the
yeah.
National
The
Guard
local
Army
promo,
on Thursday, November 29th. With a big Thanksgiving Eve spectacular Evansville Coliseum this Wednesday night. We have 6 big matches check that. We have 7 big matches because we have a Renegades $5,000 grab for the green, $5,000 on top of a pole, all the wrestlers in the ring. Somebody's going to walk off with that cash. Southern Heavyweight Championship match, Jarrett versus Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, and the Wave the Flag match. Marlon will second, and so will Sam Bass. All this action and much more. Evansville Coliseum, Wednesday night.
Well, they gave it
I
a
want to
great
come out
shot
of
as
that
they
right
always
now,
do. Bill and
Adam,
Jamie
if we
Dundee trying to
can,
take
before we
the
get back
USW.
to Dave Brown. If we could pause that real quick, and because especially you, Rusty and Pat, you didn't see the bicycle tape, but the Memphis shows would do the way the Memphis show was done. It was an hour and a half television show, and they have segments that we wouldn't record for the tape. That was called black segments. In those segments, we would do the local promos. Now, on the loop, we would have taped, which was about 46 minutes of actual matches and that sort of thing. Nothing specific. Memphis was never mentioned like any of that. So because we didn't press the tape. Then there was 3 breaks during the show. So Randy would send the master tape and he would insert in these promos. So there was a 2-minute promo for the heels, a 1-minute promo that we just saw from Michael St. John running over the card. Then the third break was a 3-minute break. I mean, a 2-minute break was a babyface. So you'd have 2-minute heel, 2-minute babyfaces and heel, and 1-minute going over the card. So, Pat, you comment, because I don't know if you ever saw that. That's what Louisville, Evansville, and Nashville would see. That's how we would promote the cards, not from the studio, but this particular time was at Randy West's house. Most of the time it was done at the Mid-South Coliseum on Monday nights before the matches start. So your thoughts on that?
I never I knew that it was. I had some notion of how it was done, but didn't know exactly that it was that closely defined. So basically, you're running a TV show. You're running a TV show to. You're running the Saturday TV show on Sunday to promote the matches in Evansville on Tuesday.
But the
Or
week
Wednesday,
later.
but a
Right. They
week
were a
later.
week behind. Right.
Okay.
The
Okay.
show that you saw in Memphis on Saturday morning would go on Louisville on the following, whatever day. I guess that was Saturday. I don't know. I'm not sure when
Okay.
Louisville TV was, but a week later.
Yeah, I remember Jarrett telling me one time that Lawler wrestled 3 loser leave town matches. Lost at three loser leave town matches in 4 days.
And remember that on my book signing, when Bill Dundee came,
Yeah,
Chris had brought that up, and Dundee got hot. Do you remember saying
I,
that?
I do. He did get hot. He
Yeah.
did get hot.
And he denied it.
Yeah, God bless it, man.
He said Jerry Lawler wasn't going to beat me 4 straight times. That's something. He got hot.
Yeah.
I mean, uh, but it's just a real interesting situation. But I want to, again, we try to teach on this show how it worked then. And I want to go back to this tape now and talking Memphis wrestling. This is a 30-minute tape, and we got about 25 minutes to go.
USWA World Tag Team titles. They were unsuccessful thanks to interference from Tojo Yamamoto. Well, I see Bill's at least got a patch, got a bandage on that cut. Jamie, good effort there in the attempt for the belts there. I know your dad.
By the way, Pat, when I got up to go get something, I knocked my spit cup all over myself, all over my pants, all over my shirt, and all over my floor. So I'm doing a cleanup right now. Adam, about a minute, I need to be off
You're trying
screen.
to prove you little sod off nothing. You're trying to get back in the wrestling business. It comes a day when it's all over for somebody. Well, it ain't over for the Dundees. It's just starting, you little squint-eyed nothing.
Now, I never bothered you, but I know where you live, brother, and if I got to come right to your house, that's exactly what it's going to take. This boy trying to get in the wrestling business. And
What a great promo from Bill Dundee, boys.
Now, you want to fight me? You want to
No,
fight
he's
Jay?
fired up.
Just sign the match. It don't make no, never mind which one it is. He can be beat. I can be beat. Everybody can be beat on any given day. But when you come sneaking up here, just like you did on Pearl Harbor, brother, we don't need it. Tony Anstey, Dirty White Girl, and Doug Gilbert can't beat me or this boy on their best day. And we don't need you sneaking up to help him. Now, I told you, all I asked you, just walk right to the back and sign a match with Jamie Dundee or Bill Dundee, and we'll see how much of a man you are. Tony Anstey, Doug Gilbert, you put the belts on the line anytime you want, and me and this boy right here will wrestle you. And if you win, like I said for 15 years, I'll be the first guy to jump up and shake you by the hand and say you're the better man. If you do it legal, 1, 2, 3, but you can't do it. You either got that little hussy helping you, or you got Tojo Yamamoto helping you, because you can't do it, brother. And like I said, we ain't going nowhere. We're right here. You want to know where I live? 413 Brook Ridge Drive. Just drive up there, and you'll find us waiting on you. Come on, Tojo.
That's Bill Dundee.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
Is that his real address, Randy?
Do what now?
Is that Bill's real address?
As I mentioned at the beginning of the
I'm sorry, what did he say?
There is a brand new
415 Brookridge
unified
Drive.
world champion in
Yeah.
Terry Funk. Now, I have some highlights.
It was at the time.
Have some highlights of the way that match ended as Funk was going against Lawler. Pay particular attention, though, to Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, who arrives with a chain, and see what happens. Here's the way the match ended up.
Lawler sets a fist, pounds it into Terry Funk's head. Lawler now climbing to the middle rope, comes off with his banded fist drop. He said, hey, I'm going to do it again. Lawler up, once again back down. Lawler, a whirlwind, a third time. Nobody has withstood 3 of these before. Count of 2.
Talking Memphis Wrestling, especially as we're listening to David Jett do the commentary. David would later do KW Wrestling and Memphis Championship Wrestling. Hope everybody's enjoying Talking Memphis Wrestling. Kayla Smith, we appreciate you watching for the very first time. Don't forget that Rusty will be with us Saturday night after Wrestle Mania. David Webb doing the announcement.
Goes to hit Lawler. Lawler ducks, spins Funk around, sets him up for the pile driver.
This is after Lance Russell left. He was a part of the company, and Dave Brown worked on Saturday, as you very well know. Worked on Monday night, so he couldn't come to the Monday matches because he was doing his real job. Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, Dave was on the 10 o'clock news, and he had to do the weather that came on like at 10:20 or something, so he couldn't get back from the matches in time.
Lawler into the ropes for momentum. Look out.
Gilbert outside the ring. Lawler just waylaid him one. Lawler over on top of Funk. Has him pinned for the cover. Calhoun still out of it as Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert climbs back up into the ring. Lawler again going after him. Jabs him with another right. Puts Gilbert down. In comes promoter Eddie Marlin, pulling Eddie Gilbert back down out of the ring.
There's Eddie.
Keeping him down on the floor. As Jerry Lawler goes over to Funk.
Well, this is good stuff from 1990.
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love Terry Funk.
Rolling over now on top of Jerry Lawler. As Eddie Mullen holding Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert outside the ring. 2, 3. That's gonna be it. We have a new unified world champion, Terry Funk.
Yeah, we lived in Amarillo for several years and got to know several members of Terry's family. Met him a few times also.
And he certainly did it. Despite Eddie Marlin's
Did you like him?
keep him out of here.
Oh, yeah, he's a great guy. He's so nice.
He got
You know, he could charm anybody.
I don't believe it. Punk is indeed the new World Unified title holder.
Well, you saw what happened there. Been joined right now by the still USWA World Tag Team Champions, Dirty Doug Gilbert, Dirty White Boy.
You see, we got this Jerry Lawler character. He's running around all over the country crying over spilt milk. He lost that world title on his own. He's trying to say my brother, you know my brother, the King. Yeah. He's trying to say he cost him the world title. He cost him nothing. He cost him nothing. Tony Anthony, tell him about it, baby. That's it. You want to talk about world champions, you've got to be talking about these two men standing right here. And it don't matter what combination. It can be the Dundee twins, which we done proved that who was the better man. It can be Brickhouse Brown and Chris Champion, Danny Davis and Jerry the ex-King Lawler. It don't matter who it is, because you are looking at the World Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, bar none, baby. We are the men that has to be reckoned with. And now, everybody's wondering, I heard you say earlier, where is the Dirty White Girl? Well, she's been training long and hard, and right now, I would like to bring out none other than Sugar Ray Kimberly. Look, have you ever seen anybody in shape like that?
Hey, Ralph, I guess you're wondering how come
Look
I
at
got
Dave,
up
he's
now dressed
leery.
up and looking gorgeous as I usually do. Well, I've been training real hard, and I've been training so hard that white boy's been making me sweat and everything. But let me tell you something, girl. I'm gonna knock you off that wide. I'm gonna knock you that wide load of yours down so hard it's gonna take 15 emergency vehicles to get you up out of that ring.
Hey, baby, hey, tell me one thing there, white girl. What round are you gonna take her out in?
How many rounds is there?
There's 5 rounds, baby. 5 rounds. Maybe one.
I'll go for the first one.
You heard it right there, live on live TV, folks. You heard it right there. First round, she's going down. Probably take about 30 seconds. And like I said before, after it's all done, all 3 of us will leave the arenas that night still champions.
We'll see. First round knockout predicted by Dirty White Girl Kimberly.
One thing, as we do this timeline of Memphis wrestling, it's good, even though I wasn't around then, 1990, and we're seeing stuff that's pretty good.
You know, I was surprised Tony Anthony never, did bigger or got bigger nationally than he did. I thought he was really good.
Wednesday night. Special bell time will be 7:30.
See, so this is Michael again going over the card.
Cody Michaels takes on Joey Maggs in a big return match. In a special event, Jamie Dundee takes on Tojo Yamamoto. A return USWA Tag Team Championship match. Brickhouse Brown and Danny Davis battle the Dirty White Boy and Dirty Doug Gilbert. There'll be a 5-round cat fight boxing match at the Coliseum Wednesday night. Sweet Georgia Brown against the Dirty White Girl. A loser of the fall leaves the USWA for a year. Sheik Fabiano and Sheik Hussein with Downtown Bruno battle Superstar Billy and his son Jamie Dundee. You'll have a $5,000 Renegades Grab for the Green Battle Royal. These are exciting. The money will be on the pole, and one of the wrestlers is going to walk away with it. Plus a Southern Heavyweight Championship. The Coward waves the flag. Jeff Jarrett, seconded by Eddie Marlin, takes on Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, seconded by Sam Bass. Plus, on November 29th, we'll be in Jasper, Indiana at the National Guard Armory. We'll see you Wednesday night at the Coliseum.
Nightmare coming in here. I want to remind you of the King's 900 number. That's right. This is
Sam
the King's
Bass.
line. 1-900.
That was that manager, Sam Bass Lowe. We talked about it the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
Jerry leaves
I remember that
information
now.
on there. He reviews the information, changes the information quite regularly. You can find out where he's wrestling, what he has to say about wrestlers. I'm sure he's got a lot of stuff to say about Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert right now, and Terry Funk, too. Also, you can leave a message for the King on there. That's a feature of this one. Again, Jerry the King Lawler's hotline number, 1-900-654-5464. In the ring right now, we're just about set to go. We've got Twilight Zone number 1, Boss Winters, over in the corner. And across the way, it's Nightmare Danny Davis. Should be a great single match.
And
Boss?
one of the greatest young wrestlers of the 1990s, the Twilight Zone days.
Twilight Zone number 1. Yes, indeed, Boss. I can tell you are real excited about the Twilight Zone here.
Well, thanks a lot, Dave. You're a perspiration.
Who's that, Randy?
Boss Winters, the managers of the preliminary guys.
I guess good luck
He
to
also
you in the
managed
Twilight
Rough and
Zone there.
Ready.
You're gonna
You
need it.
remember
You're going
Boss
against one of the
Winters
toughest
wrestling?
wrestlers around,
Yeah,
Danny Davis.
yeah. Just
Danny Davis.
he was again. He was after my time, but I have
Kind
seen
of
him
circling the
since
ring a
then.
little bit.
Do you know who the guy playing
With that
Twilight
left
Zone
arm, the
#1
Twilight
was?
Zone. Now
No,
reverse
I
it
don't
on Danny.
remember.
Good move by Twilight Zone. What's the double twist? That's right, boss.
Yeah, that was my
Look at
question.
Danny. The veteran
James,
puts the move
him
on
and
him,
Tony
and that
were
broke the hold
married.
the
They're no
Twilight Zone
longer
had. Now
married.
Danny's over to the corner. He's got a hold on
They
the left arm,
haven't
but he's the
been
one back
married
to the
in
corner. Oh,
several
look at that
years.
Twilight Zone
Tony
right
is
fist.
remarried. I'm
Couple
not
of
sure
times he's
about
hit him with a
Kim.
fist there. Boss Winter.
I do know that
encouraging him.
Danny
He's
Davis, one of the
coaching him to
great
keep that
trainers
hand
and one of the
open,
great
boss.
wrestlers of all time.
Encouraging him to use
He's
the
just
fist.
very good.
Twilight
And a
Zone
good
drops
guy.
down across the
Yes.
chest to Danny Davis. Twilight Zone normally, of course, part of a tag team. Twilight Zone #1 and 2, Nebula and Quasar. This is Nebula.
I heard
Twilight Zone
on Jim
#1.
Cornette's podcast a week or two ago that Danny Davis just
fires him
recently
into the ropes.
retired, I believe.
Nice backdrop.
Yes.
Boy, he lofted him into the air.
Yes.
He threw him about
He's
4
been
feet
out
into
of
the
it
air and dropped
for
him on his
maybe
back.
close to 10
Danny
years.
Davis picked him
Is that
up.
right? I didn't know.
Blue
Yeah.
flex as he
Been
drops
that
it
long.
down. Boss Winter is beside himself. He's up on the apron. Referee is telling him, "Hey, boss, down on the floor. Get off the
Hey,
apron."
Pat, do you,
Supposed to be sitting in a chair over here.
do you,
Oh, Danny Davis.
as the old timer that Danny is, and that was the first time he'd been in the wrestling dressing room in a long time after coming to the matches of the Hall of Fame event
Nebula, that's Quasar.
in
Danny
Jackson when I
Davis with the
let him
count
ask him
of
what his
2.
thoughts were.
The Twilight Zone
Do
is
you know what his
getting
one
bigger.
complaint
Just changed
was?
out team members.
What's that?
The other one is lying down on the floor here underneath the ring.
He said, "You got mellowed over the years." He said, "Every son of a bitch in the world."
Oh, he got the 3 count anyway.
That you used to not let one single person that wasn't on the card in the dressing room. He said everybody was in there, so he was insulted by that.
Did not work out at all.
I apologize.
Danny Davis,
I said it's just a
congratulations
different
on getting
day.
the cover in the victory.
Thank you very much, Ray. You know, everybody knows that Ken Wayne is the USWA Junior Heavyweight Champion. Everybody knows that he's also not in the area right now. He's out defending that title. Well, Joey Maggs and myself, the promotion decided to book us against each other to see who the #1 contender for the USWA Junior Heavyweight title is. You know, Joey and I have been traveling for the past 5 or 6 weeks. I've been
Adam,
training
take me
with
away
Joey.
again.
He's come a long way.
I've lost my
You know,
mouse.
I really
If I
want
don't
this
go
match,
find it.
Joey. All right.
Why not, dude? Why not? Are you afraid I might beat you?
No, I'm not afraid. But Joey, you and I are friends. We've traveled up and down the roads together. You're headed in the right direction, but I think it's too soon. I think if you could wait just a little bit, you will become a great champion.
Danny, I don't want to wait. I think it's about time maybe I get some of the recognition I deserve. I've been working real hard. I mean, why not? Let's have a match.
Okay, well, we're going to have a match. You got one here today. I wish you luck.
Thank you.
All right, the handshake, the teacher and the student. The teacher has just won his match here. And again, they've got a match scheduled against each other a little bit later on because they're trying to get in line for a shot at Ken Wayne's U.S. Junior Heavyweight belt when Ken is back in the area to defend that belt. Joey Maggs steps in. Again, Danny Davis has won his match, and he had to beat both Twilight Zone members, even though it was scheduled as a single match. But Danny got the victory. Oh, Freezer Thompson just picked Joey Maggs straight up in the air and threw him down to the mat. Freezer Thompson,
Dick
boy, he's a
Freezer
big-
Thompson
we've seen him here
is
many
from the
times on
Jonesboro
USWA
area.
Championship Wrestling. Out of the state of Arkansas. Joey Maggs took his legs away from him, tripped him up. That was a legal move, by the way. By saying that he tripped him, I don't mean to imply it was illegal. It was not. Joey forces him back into the corner. Oh, that was not the most sportsmanlike thing I've ever seen. The upper arm as Thompson is back in the corner. Now, Joey Maggs going to throw him into the turnbuckles. Freezer reversed it and body slams Joey Maggs. Joey finds himself flying through the air and bouncing off the mat. Freezer Thompson, boy, looking good against Joey Maggs.
Never seen
Using
Freeze.
the right fist. There's a cover. Count of 1.
No.
2.
William Freezer
Well, he did it.
Thompson.
Joey Maggs got the victory. He was
Yeah, I
out-wrestled in the
don't
match.
don't
There's no
know
doubt
him.
about it. Freezer Thompson out-wrestled him, but Joey Maggs with the fist winds up defeating Freezer Thompson.
He
But
had
he
some
doubled up that
moves.
right hand and nailed him, and that's
Yeah.
the way he's got the cover. Danny
Yeah,
Davis
he's still
is
around.
Yeah, he's asking
Got
him about the
wrestled before.
fist. He said, I saw you pull his tights. I saw you hit him with the fist. What are you doing? That's not the way a champion should conduct himself. Danny says, I didn't teach you to do that. I tried to teach you to wrestle cleanly and obey the rules. You're too good to cheat like that. Is this what he's telling Joey Maggs?
Dave, I don't know what the guy...
Look out, Danny. Oh, my goodness. Joey Maggs, not wanting to hear what the teacher, Danny Davis, was telling, threw him over the top rope.
Dave Brown, you're looking at the new junior heavyweight champion.
Well, maybe not, but how you going to do it, Joey Maggs? For heaven's sake, there's a man who's helped you out, ridden up
9
down the
minutes
road
left
with you,
in
as he said, revealed the secrets, and what do you do to him? That's the thanks he gets. All right, let's take a break.
That's a good
We'll be
clip.
back
That
here
was
with
so
more in
that
just a minute.
they
Danny?
set that up so well for Joey to turn on him.
And I was asked Joey, information on Joey Maggs. He was in here when I wasn't, so I really can't tell you anything. And here's my guy, my mentor, Eddie Marvin.
My good friend over in Jonesboro, Dave Wise. He's in the hospital. Won't you hurry up and get out, Dave?
All right, Mr. White, that's Randy Hale's brother-in-law, right?
That's right.
All
That sure is.
Very good. Yeah.
Fine fella.
Yeah, you're right. Get well soon.
He was wrong on that. It's Bill Wise, not
Maybe before we do that,
and
though, it involves Jeff Jarrett.
Eddie knew that.
It does involve it. And Jeff's got an interview. If you would show that interview, and then we'll have a few words to say about it.
All right, here's Jeff.
Hot stuff, Eddie Gilbert. Yeah, a lot of water's gone under the bridge, and a lot of things have happened. You know, and you're sick to men in mind. I don't know what's wrong with you. If it's you're still having trouble
was
from your
Brian
divorce,
Christopher
or you're
and
still
Tommy
upset from
Williams.
being Jerry Lawler or Jeff Jarrett, or I don't know really what's wrong with you. But this week, pal, I believe you got yourself into a little bit too deep. It's a Southern heavyweight title match, and the way this match ends, no, it doesn't end by pinfall. It doesn't end by submission. It can't go the time limit. You can't get disqualified. Eddie Gilbert, the way this match ends is I'm going to have a guy in my corner, and you're going to have a guy in your corner, and the first guy who's there second waves the white flag means that the match is over. That's right, and the belt can change hands this way because it is a heavyweight title match. Now, Gilbert, in my corner, I got Eddie Marlin. And, you know, I've been wrestling about 5 years. And when I first started wrestling, Eddie came to me, and he said, Jeff, the thing that you're going to have to do through all the pitfalls and all the stumblings and everything that you're going to go through and all the matches and all the different experiences that you go through, the one thing that you cannot do is give up. And Eddie Gilbert, I've got a poem on my wall at home. And my dad's got one, and my little brother's got one, and the poem's called Don't Quit, and you can imagine what the poem says. So I'm not going to give up, because that's the legacy that my family lives by. Now, Gilbert, I'm not so sure about your family, because you're a bunch of stinking low-life cowards. And in your corner, you're going to have Sam Lowe. And I want you to think back, and there's people out there, I don't know if you know this, but in the tournament for the heavyweight title, for the USWA World Heavyweight title, Eddie Gilbert was facing Austin Idol. And when Austin Idol put that figure-4 leg lock on, Sam Lowe threw that towel in because he knew his guy couldn't take it. Yes, Sam Lowe and Eddie Gilbert, they're just about like family. And Eddie Gilbert, you knew in your mind you couldn't take the pain. So, pal, you better get ready because the title's on the line, and I know one thing, I'm not giving up. And Eddie knows one thing, I'm not giving up. So, Gilbert, you better get ready. And Sam Lowe, you better get ready to wave that flag.
Well, Jeff apparently has no intention of you waving that flag, Eddie.
Yeah, Jeff put me on the spot. You know, Jeff and his brother both, ever since they was little bitty fellas, I've told them, son, whatever you do in life, whether it's, you know, whatever it is, don't give up. So he's put me in his corner, and I've got to sit there, and if Jeff gets injured, that's when you're really on the spot, because you either sit there and watch him suffer and be hurt, or you go back on your word, everything that you've told him ever since he's a little tyke. So, Jeff, I'm going to tell you, in this match,
These humble interviews, nobody's done them as good as Eddie Marlin. Nobody.
because I'm
Ever.
not going back on my word. I'm not going to wave the flag. And I just wish you all the luck in the world, son. That's all I can tell you.
Very good, Eddie. We wish both of you luck in the match. It's interesting. Of course, we've had championship matches before. We've had coward wave the flag matches before. I'm not sure. I can't recall it ever occurring that the heavyweight title, the Southern heavyweight title, rode on the outcome of this type match, though. It should be interesting.
That's right. It'll be interesting. I'd rather not be there, but he's asked me to be in his corner, and I'm not going back on my word, son. I'm not going to wave the flag.
Eddie Marlin, he'll be the second for Jeff Jarrett in the corner in this match. Eddie Gilbert will have Sam Bass Low. He calls
And if
him
you
in
saw
his
Eddie's
corner as his
facial
second. How did it
expression,
come to
like
all of this? Well, here's
he
a little
was
bit
just
of history
worried.
of the feud,
I
if you
mean,
will,
that's a mark
between
of
Eddie Gilbert
a good
and
wrestling guy.
Yeah.
Hey, Eddie
Oh,
Gilbert,
Eddie was so
you're just a
realistic.
little bit off. You know why?
Yes.
Because Jerry Lawler has stayed around this territory.
We
for
showed
his
this
whole
clip
career
last
and made a
week,
name.
Pat.
And that's looking at the new king. No, you're not. Yeah, I'm going to stay around here. Yeah, Lawler's got offers to go all over the world for every federation in the country. He doesn't go. I've got offers and I don't go. You went, you tried, and you found out you couldn't do it. No, that's not true. I did good. No, I did good. You're not did good. You can't say about me. Get out of here. Well, I'll leave. Yeah, you
Nope, Eddie's got his shoe off.
Eddie was so good. Gosh,
He
he was
was.
so good.
Eddie Gilbert, I don't know.
Where's Jerry Jarrett and Eddie Marlin at now? Get your dad out here.
Head cut open, hit him with that shoe. Come on, Eddie. Eddie Gilbert jumping Jeff Jarrett. Said he was leaving, turned and blindsided Jeff. And cut him wide open. Right in the fourth. Oh, Jeff nails Eddie Gilbert.
The Memphis studio brawls, man, they were so good.
Eddie, be careful. There they are battling on the floor. Here comes Sam Lowe out. See if the two
Yes,
of them
Jay,
can
and
get them
Danny
apart.
had OVW wrestling school for years.
Oh, Eddie
Hello, Eddie
Gilbert has
Cox.
just knocked Sam Lowe, his manager, down to the mat. Let's get some more help out here. If anybody's watching a monitor, here comes Doug Gilbert. Here come Bill Dundee, Danny Davis, Jeff Gaylord, Brickhouse Brown. Well, they've got them separated now, Craig. But look out behind, Jeff. Eddie Gilbert.
I'll be back in a minute. I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back, Dave.
What? You're not going to go in and help him, Ken? I think it's going to require some help here to get this one started. Look at Eddie Gilbert with a chair, folded chair across the back of Jeff Jarrett. Danny Davis in to try to help Jeff. And Eddie Gilbert, hot stuff, nailed him with a chair, too. Dirty Doug Gilbert from outside working on Danny Davis. Sam Lowe.
About a minute, 30 seconds left in this video.
Slammed into the
Then
table.
we'll do the wrap.
Doug Gilbert's got him cut open here.
And Jarrett has Sam Bass slow.
Yeah, they were doing spray painting in Memphis way before the NWO did it on WCW.
Oh, absolutely.
He got him. But Gilbert's doing something over there. Fire! Gilbert has thrown fire on Jarrett. And Calhoun didn't see it, man. He burned him.
Jarrett just lit up by hot stuff Eddie Gilbert. Going for the pin cover. Calhoun up and over. 1, 2, 3. That's going to be it. We have a new Southern champion, hot stuff Eddie Gilbert. Well, that's how the belt was won. That gives you a little bit of the history of the feud that's been going on there. And also Eddie Gilbert, of course, winning by things like throwing the fire. To be kind, even his best wins, he had to be considered lucky on that. But Eddie Gilbert is the man with the Southern heavyweight title around his waist right now. That, of course, means he's the #1 contender for the unified world title. Eddie Gilbert, as you might suspect, had a few words about the situation and the upcoming match. Here's Eddie Gilbert.
Craig Johnson in the locker room with a man who is still the Southern heavyweight champion. Quite lucky, but apparently
That's a
Mr.
Mid-South
Jarrett
Coliseum
seemed to lose
dressing room locker room. Well, that was at the Coliseum. And that was good stuff. There's no doubt about it. And this has been a great show. Because Pat didn't see it, Adam, I want to go back to one of the original. Want to remind everybody that we started the show today talking about another death. Of course, we dedicated this show to Klein Leonard, Chris Ellis's mother that passed away this past Saturday. Also, we made the announcement that longtime game show host Wink Martindale passed away as well. Also, I told everybody that my buddy Dr. Robinson, Rusty, and his lovely wife, we met Saturday night, and there's a graphic picture. Pag, you didn't see this. You weren't on. This is as we thought we were going to another restaurant, but the bastard changed the name of it. But this is about 10 minutes after I almost died.
Something like that, yeah.
Hey,
Right.
where are you? Are you in Jonesboro?
No.
Memphis.
We'll let Rusty explain exactly
Is that
where we
cross
thought
town?
we were going and where we ended up, even though it was the same place. Explain ourselves, Rusty.
So yeah, this is in Memphis, and this was, well, I thought, a Grisanti's restaurant. It's called Frank Grisanti's. Grisanti's being a very famous, restaurant family in Memphis. So this was out in a hotel in East Memphis, and Frank Grisanti's had been there for several years.
No,
So I
I've
thought
stayed
we'd
there.
go
I
back
used to
again.
stay in that hotel all the time.
Oh yeah, me too. Well, we weren't staying there this time, but we were staying one nearby. Anyway, I thought, okay, let's go to Grisanti's and meet Randy there. So we get over there, and it's not Grisanti's anymore. It's Grizzini's or something like that. Apparently, the hotel management got mad at Grisanti's and tossed them out, but they kept it as a Italian restaurant. It wasn't quite Grisanti's level, but it was okay.
Okay.
I liked it. I liked it. And can you show that picture again of me and Rusty? I think it's graphic 4590, and there is Rusty, and there is me, and we had a great time. It was Rusty and I, the first time we've met. We've developed. It's funny about the internet now. Shows like this, you can become acquainted and friends with somebody that you've never met in your life, and so we were finally glad. How often do you come to Memphis, Rusty? Probably not too often, right?
We've been a fair amount late last year or so because of illness, unfortunately, illness in the family, unfortunately. And honestly, we're probably going to have to do that some more for those reasons for the coming year. So, not for good reasons, unfortunately.
Well, maybe we can make it where it's just an hour and 15 minutes from my house to that restaurant. So maybe we can do that again. I thank you for filling in when I thought it was just going to be me. Not that I couldn't do it, but the people don't want me to do it. Talk for 2 hours by myself, and of course Chris couldn't be here, and Michael is in Kentucky, and Pat. We thought it would be iffy, but he was going to try in a motel, and that's always iffy. But then he changes his things. Thank you for being on the show today, and I hope you can join us. And Adam, if you put that caption up there, if I made one of the shows this weekend, Saturday night and Sunday night, as soon as WrestleMania is over, the Randy Hill Show reviews WrestleMania 41, and that will be this Saturday or Sunday. I'm guessing between 9:30 or 10, but just keep an eye on the results on social media. Thank you, Rusty, for coming, and final thoughts for being with us today. I hope you enjoyed the show.
Oh, absolutely. You're very welcome for inviting me to the show. I really appreciate it and had a great time. Good to see you again, Pat. And looking forward to WrestleMania. I'm hoping I can stay up late enough. We got to get up early and go to Easter church, early Sunday morning. But I'll do my best to stay awake.
That'll be good. Be sure tonight around midnight Central Time to check out the Blues Doctor on YouTube. The Blues Doc. The official name of it is the Blues Doctor Recommends.
Correct.
And, right?
That is correct.
Check it out and like it and share it and all the stuff, and let's build Rusty's thing, because I like it, because I'm stuck on wrestling and a lot of wrestling and soap operas. I still watch me some General Hospital, buddy. I still do that, record it every day. I love me some General Hospital, but I am also enjoying because it's teaching me stuff about medicine and also music. The music highlights are you performing on this week's show, Rusty?
We haven't quite. Oh, yes, the one that's coming out tonight. Yes, we are. I got confused because we're already planning for the next week's show. But yes, the show that's uploaded now that should come out at midnight does have a performance of mine.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for being on, Rusty.
You're very welcome. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you, Rusty.
Pat, you made sacrifices by being here tonight, by spending extra money, by changing that to a one-way, no-stop trip. It cost you several $1,000s to make that change, I am sure.
It didn't cost that much, and my good friends at American Airlines are giving me credit so I can use it later. But I was happy to be here in my own studio as opposed to in the Miami airport waiting on an 11 o'clock flight home. So it worked out great. Thank you, United Airlines.
Our thoughts to B.C. Collins for the death of his mother.
Absolutely.
Chris Ellis, one of our pals, one of our teammates. Coach Chris lost his mother. It was nice to meet you, Rusty. Thanks to Adam Dunn. And for something, Pat Trammell is going to close this show today. Thank you a lot, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Have a great week. Rest of the week, we'll see you after Wrestle Mania, if we can stay awake.
I'll stay awake, people. I'm a trooper. Wrestling born, wrestling bred. When I die, Randy Hills will be a wrestling dead. Good night, everybody. That's how you do a close, by God.
There you go.
You'll see America's favorite sport on WHBQ television.
Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hill and special guest